Today we're talking Rolex and Omega.
You ask questions and I answer.
Kind of like Gary Vee, but like for watches.
Boom, watching. What's up, watch geeks? I got a really good question. Got an email with the following question. Correction, it was on YouTube. I lied to you. Sorry, guys.
Should I go Rolex or Omega for my first watch?
Rolex or Omega for a first watch? I mean, foremost, either way, you're off to a really good start. You've started, more so than which watch to buy first, you have to, or at least I recommend, that you educate yourself enough to know the difference between the two and the value they bring. And at least from my impression or my assumption of your question, you understand they both have value and detractions. So let's get into it. I'll give you my answer first. I'll give you my answer. I got yelled at for having the water bottle in the shot. I'm not advertising for anybody. Rolex versus Omega. I think your first watch should be an Omega. Now, my first watch was a Rolex. I think I was wrong. I think that Omega, with my experience with watches, I mean, it's pretty extensive, buying and selling, a couple hundred watches in the past couple months. Omega brings amazing value. Omega consistently was delivering to, I don't know necessarily the class of people they were selling to when they were selling. To me, I get an impression of a well-kept kind of guy. I mean, and girl and women too, but from my perspective, a guy that was wearing his Omega to a wedding. He was keeping it in a sock drawer, wearing it to a wedding, wearing it to a business meeting and stuff like that. And they understood their market really well. I mean, their watches and design were refined to suit that gentleman. And I really like that. And no, at this point, you don't have to wear your Omega with a suit. You can wear it with a sweater, or an oversized sweater, or you wear it with an Oxford shirt or something like that. But I think that their design and their simplicity and minimalism in that, and not catering to that particular consumer at the time, really suits today's young guy. I really think that it's simplistic. It's saying, hey, I've got nothing to prove. I'm just someone who likes to have a good watch on. You're not trying to show anything off or something like that. So with that, I really do think that Omega should be your first watch. Why over Rolex? Because, I don't know. I don't want to get philosophical, but it kind of is. Like, my first watch was a Rolex. My first watch was a blue dial 1601, and I don't regret that at all. I mean, it's my favorite watch today. To date, I've owned cooler watches, and it's still the watch that I enjoy wearing the most because it was my first watch. That's ultimately what this comes down to, is you're going to care about that watch so much because it was your first, and it meant so much. But on a cosmetic level, naturally, you want to get the coolest piece. I think that it really comes down to the price point. These cool Rolexes are around $3,000. And I don't think that for a first-time buyer, you need to start at $3,000. I think that you can start at $700, at $800, at $900, even $1,200 for really exceptional Omega. Like a time-only, pink gold or steel or whatever it may be, Constellation, because you're still figuring yourself out. You're still figuring your style out. Whereas your first Rolex, if you just dropped $3,000, then you don't necessarily know how you're going to evolve as a watch collector or even just single owner. You could botch it. You're really risking a lot more. Whereas with a very agreeable Omega, with a very, just a really cool Constellation or really cool Seamaster or something like that, you win. It's almost like it's a no loss. I don't recommend further, as far as losses and wins, you ever selling your first watch, no matter how stupid of a buy it was. I think, at least personally for me, it means so much in the long run that even if it doesn't fit into your life the way you thought it would, let's say you bought a blue dial Rolex and you ended up really just preferring conservative Bauhaus watches, don't sell it. It means too much. I think in the long run, it'll mean too much to your son or your daughter to give that watch down, because I really do think, because the reason I love these watches is because they're so emotional. And your first watch needs to be a well thought out, very careful, and an emotional experience in like the weirdest kind of way. It's not materialistic, like John Mayer said in How Dinky. It's not materialistic. It's really more passionate and kind of thoughtful than it is materialistic. I mean, completely. So I recommend that you go Omega because it gives you time to figure out where you stand as a collector or just a single buyer. If you think you understand yourself that well, go for it. Go spend $3,000. you're not going to go wrong with a Rolex. You're not going to go wrong with a Datejust. I mean, I still think the Datejust is one of the best watches any relatively new watch buyer can grab. But still, I have to give it to Omega on this one. So congratulations, Omega. You take the cake for first watch purchase. Thank you guys for watching Ask TNH. Now we're on the topic of first watches. Send me an email. I'd like to hear about your first watch. Commenting on my Instagram doesn't always work because I get so many comments and they're hard to answer each and every one with the attention they deserve. But send me an email. I'd really like to hear about it. Maybe I don't have too many questions. Maybe I just kind of want to accept your story as it is and move on. But I really like that stuff. And maybe you'll publish it on the blog. So send them our way.